Okay, welcome, welcome. This is the August 2023 Lyn and Lori webinar. It's August 1st, 2023. So we're thrilled to have you here. And here we have our wonderful Lynn Buchanan, who just had a birthday. And we got to go down to Alamogordo and hang out with them. It was a lot of fun. And so here we are. And we came on about 20 minutes early. And so we just been shooting the bull, as they say, not really talking about anything important, but I did show some photos that I took with my iPhone 13 and my iPhone 14 of the Milky Way out here in the middle of New Mexico, where it's quite dark at night. And we actually have a sky preserve above us. Anyone living in this area is required to not have bright lights on their property so that everyone can enjoy the stars. And then let's see. So I'm just clicking out some. We have lots of comments here. Thank you guys so much. Oh, Karen says, thanks for these webinars. So appreciated. Oh, Chris, you're in Albuquerque? Are you in Albuquerque, Chris? That's great. If you're in Albuquerque, we should stay in touch. So, we have a lot of viewers in this area in New Mexico. Tamitha says, happy birthday. And Victor says, hello from Taos. Oh, great. Taos. And hi, Nielsen says, happy birthday, Lynn. And Ray McClure, hey, Ray, how you doing? It's good to see you. Wonderful to see you here.
Yeah.
Martin says, when do you think is the best time to transition from practice targets to operational targets? Martin, I don't know about, well, I do know something, but I know that Lynn and I are both working with our students now, and as they move into intermediate and they really get the structure down. We want to create a good foundation, of course. We are starting to kind of ease them into some operational things, and right now both of us have projects going where students get to play all these different roles and actually work real projects that they've come up with, and it's really great. I keep getting letters from the ones who are participating saying, wow, I am learning so much from this. So, but the only thing is that you do want, if you're going to be transitioning from practice to operational, you want to be sure you're working in a group, kind of like the Buddhists say, you need a Sangha. You need to be working in a group where you have guidance, because you can sure mess up a project if you don't know what you're doing.
That's
Lynn,
right.
did you add something to that?
Oh, yeah. Along with becoming a good viewer first, because, you know, if somebody's life or somebody's money depends on it, you don't want to have an accuracy score of 20% or something like that. So database your work, make sure you have a good accuracy rating that is worth paying attention to. I try for a minimum of 80% accuracy. And then one of the very biggest things that you don't learn while you're learning remote viewing is that when you get into a group, you're going to have a project manager. That project manager is going to put out a task, get in all these different reports from people. And if they're all in homemade format, that project manager is going to have an impossible job. And when we teach in CRV, we teach structure, follow the Angus 1 structure. It's not just for the viewing. The project manager runs a project, they get everything in, it's in the same format, it's in the same dependable way to score and to judge and to understand a session from 10, 15 different viewers. The project manager can get the answer back to the customer almost overnight. But if you make up your own, you know, if you make up your own structure, oh, I'm not going to do it the Angus 1 way, I don't like that, and you just turn it in according to something you've made up, a project manager will not ask you to come back. They won't use you on another project, I tell you, because for them, it gives them 10, 20 times the amount of hard work. So when we preach to you as teachers, structure, it's not just for you. It's for ultimately it's for that missing child that needs a results of your work now instead of 3 or 4 days later. So yeah, structure is important as well as good remote viewing.
That's great. Thank you so much. I mean, really quickly, Chris is in London, England, not in Albuquerque. Okay, good to know. And then Northern California, Stephanie is in Northern California. Welcome. And Trisha, happy birthday, Lynn. And Hugh, he says, greetings from Tampa. Hope to see you too at IRVA. Hugh, it turns out I won't be able to be at IRVA physically. I'll be presenting online though, but Lynn's going to be there for sure. So you'll get to see Lynn. Ben says, hi, Lori and Lynn. I spent many a summer up in Chama. Love the stars and lack of light in that area. Chama is beautiful. Oh, yeah. And then we have Sonia saying, happy birthday, Lynn. Irene says, happy birthday, Lynn. Hi, Lori from British Columbia, Canada. Hi, Irene. That's a beautiful area too. Deborah says, happy birthday and thanks for doing these live meetups. And Martin says, thank you, Lori and Lynn. I'm looking forward to learning about your intermediate special prize. It's coming. Martin, we're starting that today. One of the things I want to mention, though, is that Trixie and Tanya, who are they are the customer service department. There was a large fire in the Philippines this morning in the area where they live, and a whole bunch of towns are without power due to the fire. So I don't know how many days they're going to be without power, but while they're without power, we're without a customer service department, unfortunately. So I just want you to know that I'm hoping it won't slow down the intermediate promotion that we're doing that was supposed to start today. If so, we'll just move it a few days down. No worries. We were going to, I think we're actually starting it on the 4th. It's not starting today. It's going to start August 4th and end on the 11th. So hang in there because it's coming. It's the promotion, and it's got some really great extras with it. So keep an eye out for that. And then he said, do you define operational target as just not being a practice target? I actually did my first operational session and it worked out for me, finding a lost target. That's great, Martin. And what a lot of times I tell people, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, I did a little short thing called How to Stay Motivated During a Slump. And one of the things I shared in that was that you can, one of the things that I found very motivational, if I found myself not wanting to remote view very much or wanting to practice, was to come up with some quick and easy operational things. And that's pretty quick to do, like finding a missing, like some of my students said they use it to find their missing TV remote, or to find the cat. Where's the cat? We used it so many times because our cat would disappear. So we had to use remote viewing a lot to find the cat. and every time it worked, it really works. And so if you can find a way to do your own stuff that's actually mini operational things.
Yeah.
Another one is if you decide, for example, you don't know, let's say you're on vacation and you don't know what you're planning to do. You're going to be several weeks in Sedona and you decided, okay, I'm going to just view what I'm going to be doing next Thursday at 4 p.m. That's another way to set up little mini operational things. Lynn, do you have some other things people can do to set up their own mini operational things?
Yeah, it's called practice operational.
Practice operational.
And we both have practice targets on the site. And also, there's another thing that I constantly have to remind the students of. Let's say you don't do a session at all, okay? But you go out and you practice the ambiance exercise, or you sit down and listen to the cues and you do your ideograms and all that. Listen, you're practicing your remote viewing. You really are. And so practice sessions don't have to be pictures and envelopes. I know you get tired of that. And there are a lot of ways to practice your remote viewing. Sit down and say, okay, I'm going to the store. Describe the cashier. You go to the store, you come back. There's your description. Look at the cashier. There's your feedback.
I've got to say something. Jim and I were traveling up in Idaho And we were going along this road in that big bus. You remember that huge bus,
Yeah.
Lynn? And we saw this cute little house that had all these weird little whimsical things. And it had a sign like it had a store in the house, like a groovy little store. So we stopped and we walk up to the door and it said, sorry, had to run down to the garden. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And so I said, okay, Jim, let's both remote view what this person looks like and see who gets closest to the actual one. So we both did a remote viewing of this, whoever wrote that sign. And it was so fun. And when she came up, it was so great to get that feedback.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'll be completely braggarty and say, I got it right.
Good.
But
Good.
people are my forte, though. People are my forte. Jim's forte, I think, is more in locations and man-made objects.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally got her right. And so it was so neat to have her walk up the hill and see that she actually looked just as I had described her.
Yeah.
And it was a fun thing to do, though, just spur of the moment.
Yeah. Michael Rinaldi, one of my students, has now become a trainer, started his own courses and all that. When I had the pacemaker put in, because my heart was failing, he did a session to describe the doctor who would successfully put the pacemaker in, and he did not describe my doctor. And so I got that session in, and I had doubts about my doctor anyway. He was like 90 years old, did everything, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if he had put leeches on me or something, but you know, and basically I was going to be his last patient. And the last patient he did have will never get over it. I mean, he messed him up so bad. And so anyway, I went down to El Paso and looked around for doctors down there, and finally found one that could get me into his schedule. And he was exactly the description that Michael had said. And so I felt, this is the one. Had no problems, whatever, you know.
That's so great.
I tell Michael, I think you saved my life, kid.
Oh, good job, Michael Rinaldi. Hey, I have a question for you guys. When I answer you private, like if I type an answer, do you guys actually see it? Does it come up somewhere for you? Because on this end, we can't see it. Once I send it to you, everything's gone. You know, the question you wrote and my response, they're gone. So I was wondering, do they show up somewhere for you? I was just curious. Type in the chat and tell me if you found the answers that I responded, because I did send some answers. And then also I accidentally deleted a couple here. There was oh, I see them there in the answered ones. So I answered Stephanie. Stephanie, I answered you. Just know that if you get to phase 2 in my course and you don't see anything about the feeling component, you probably passed over it somehow without seeing it. But the cool thing is, there in the course, you'll see a little search bar. It's called the searchy bar. And you can just type in there feeling component. It'll take you right to the places in the course where I talk about the feeling component. Boom, it'll just take you right there. You don't have to search for it. You know, you don't have to like go through videos again and try to find it. The search bar, it's called Searchy. It's a little widget we have on there. It'll take you right to all the places in all the videos where I mention it. So yeah.
And
so if you
even if you don't do that, once you've taken the course, go back through the material a second time, you will see things that were there, but you didn't see them.
So many things. When I took the basic course for the second time from you, Lynn, I don't know if you remember this, but the first time I took it, I took copious notes, and then I come back and to take it again. And I'm like, you didn't teach us about the feeling component. And Lynn bursts out laughing. He said, of course I did. And I look at my notes and it was right in my notes. But not only do you miss stuff, but then you forget stuff after you've taken it.
Yeah.
There's so much to remember. But it was so funny. I'm like, you didn't teach us that. And it's like, yes, I did.
I remember you were still saying that about the 20th time you went through the course. And
probably, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't tell us that before.
Yeah, there are so many things. And I now, of course, I'm on the receiving end of that. So many things students will think they haven't seen, you know, and it's right there. So just so you know. And then Cynthia, congratulations. You're doing great. I'm super excited for you. And then Yeah, and Martin, I think I did answer that live. Okay, I just wanted to, and Richard Kronowski says happy birthday from North Carolina, Lynn.
Thank you. We have
Yes.
somebody here from Santiago, Chile, too. Yeah,
Yes, he's here.
I've lost that one.
Brittany, what do you mean when you say
Arnaldo, yeah.
when you say that, is this for absolute services? What does that question mean? I don't understand, Brittany. When she says, is this for absolute services? I'm not sure. And then Jen says, hi from Jen in Newcastle, California. And welcome, Jen. Simon says, I'm watching from just outside of a town called Dudley in the West Midlands, England. Nice to meet you both. Oh my, we have a lot of Dudleys in our family. If the last name Dudley is a big name in our family. Thanks, Simon. Great to meet you. Star Kennedy, hello, and happy birthday, Lynn, from my tiny yacht in Brighton Marina, England. Oh, that sounds like a wonderful lifestyle. Hi from Ida in Los Cabos, Mexico. Bernhard, hi Bernhard. He says, if we want to view solutions of the future for a problem, what is the right way for targeting it? Now, I have a pretty strong opinions about that. Lynn, do you want to go first on this one? And I'll share.
Yeah, one of the thing is keep it simple, okay? The future for a problem, okay? I was on a question and answer thing in Germany this last week, and a guy said, how would I target to find out if there really is if the hollow earth theory is really true? Well, the answer is keep it simple, okay? The target's a location, describe the location, right? And okay, you have a problem that's going to come up in the future. What do you really want to know about it? Do you want to know about the solution? Do you want to know about any problems it's going to cause and, you know, outside problems and all that? And task for the one thing you want to know. If you want to know 10 things, do 10 sessions. Okay, you'll get a complete picture. But if you task for everything, what did duck hunters say? You know, if you want to shoot a duck, don't shoot at the whole sky. Shoot at one duck. And so when you task for a future problem like that, pick your duck. Okay, shoot at the one question you want to answer. Come back and shoot at another. Yeah.
That's really good. And one of the things I like to address when people ask questions like this, Bernhard, is the problem with the future kind of being a moving target, as Mel Riley used to say, and try to view the future and the damn thing wouldn't stand still. But one of the things that I find that I don't like very much is when a remote viewer will come out and say, this terrible thing is going to happen on this date. I find that really problematic simply because, number one, it terrifies people and they start taking action when precisely finding at the time some future thing is going to occur is really iffy and probably the least accurate thing I've ever seen in the whole field of any kind of psychic predicting, saying this certain thing is going to happen on this date. It's just really iffy. And so one thing I found, though, that helps a lot more accuracy is if you were to move, let's say that you perceive there's going to be a hurricane in a, that's going to happen in a certain location. And you say, I think it's going to happen on this date. Okay, but one good thing to do is to have some unbiased, blind targeted, really good remote viewers view that location on special dates going into the future. So you say, hey, I've got a location I'd like you to view at 4 o'clock in the afternoon today. Just view it. What's this location like today at 4 o'clock? And they view it and they go, everything seems normal. Okay, now move 3 months ahead and tell me what you see. Oh, everything seems normal. Okay, great. Now move 3 more months ahead. And you move them ahead in whatever increments you want. I'm making up 3 months, but you could pick any kind of increments and move them forward. They don't know what they're viewing. They don't know why they're viewing it. They have no idea what the location is. So they're not biased. And you just move them forward through time. And then they get to a certain point. And they go, oh, I noticed there's some flooding going on. Oh, okay, great. And now you know where you moved them in time, that they're perceiving this flooding or whatever else they're perceiving. And we did this for a thing that we were remote viewing. And we actually had like 10 different locations that we had top viewers looking at. And we had them view from the beginning of 2018 all the way through 2019. So that was a 2-year period. And the only thing that they found was in the Corpus Christi, Houston area, I think it was in the summer of 2019, they said, oh, it's really, there's a lot of rain, a lot of flooding. And it turned out, we kept data, and sure enough, in those time periods there were. But it was really helpful because it calmed a lot of people down who were panicking and thinking they needed to sell their homes and stuff like that. So we do know certain things are coming, certain things are inevitable. One, like the oceans are rising. We do know coastal cities are going to be underwater. The question is when is that going to happen? We do know that the current, I can't remember the name of that current. It's something like the Abo current or something. It's the current that goes up to the northern poles, comes down to the southern poles. It's dissolving. They're saying that within 2 to 3 decades, it will be no longer there, no longer functioning. And when that happens, it's going to cause the even temperateness of the planet that's constantly causing the season stuff to change, so that Europe freezes. Europe will freeze, and the equator areas will become extremely warm, hotter than they are now. So if we wanted to say, okay, when is this going to happen? Because even the scientists are very much in dispute with each other over when this will take place. And so what we could use this technique to blind task viewers and have them move forward through time, have some of them in Europe, in key cities in Europe, some of them in key cities around the equator, and maybe some towards Antarctica, in Patagonia and places like that. And then we could see, what's going on as we're moving through time, and that would give us a time frame as to know, are we talking 10 years? Are we talking 20 years? Are we talking 30 years? How much time are we talking about?
There's another feature too, and this is one that is rarely talked about by anybody, and that's the one called paradoxical tasking. Just like a weatherman says, on Thursday it's going to be such and such. The next day he says, we have an update on Thursday because there have been changes that were not predictable. Okay. Paradoxical tasking is the analogy we use is that the police call and ask you where the criminal is going to be at 9 o'clock. And you do your session and you say he's going to be at Joe's Bar and Grill eating supper. So at 8:30, they come out and hide in the bushes. 8:45, the criminal walks up, they jump out and arrest him and take him to jail. And at 9 o'clock, he's in jail. Were you wrong? Okay. No. Somebody acted on your prediction that changed the future. Okay. I don't know how many times I've done doing drug interdiction where I've said, like, they're coming across the border here. They will take the things up to Dallas and so on. They catch them at the border and they never take the things up to Dallas. They thank me for a successful session, and yet half of it was wrong, because acting on the future prediction will change the future. And in your instance there, the volcano on La Palma Island is going to fall into the sea.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen.
When it does, it will wipe out the entire east coast of the United States for 26 miles inland. It'll wipe out New York City. It'll wipe out Atlanta and all that. It's going to happen. And the U.S. Geological Service already knows it. They have it predicted. They don't know when. And one of our viewing teams found that it was going to happen October a year or two ago.
No, they predicted March or April of 2018.
March, yeah, 2018, something like that, yeah. And the side of the volcano that was going to fall in the sea cracked open 5 feet. It was ready to go. There were people up there for some reason fracking the side of the volcano to not to get oil, but to get rare earths, because the lava there is rich in rare earths. And so one of our students who has an in with the Spanish government called and said, look, you got to stop the fracking. They did, and the Palma volcano erupted peacefully, but it, not peacefully, but it didn't explode, blowing that side off. And so did acting on that prediction change the future? There's no way to ever know.
Right. There's no way we would ever know.
Yeah.
And so, so what I've found though, is that it's important to do whatever future stuff you're doing in such a way that prejudice doesn't come into it.
Yeah.
You're not trying to use timelines or anything, but you're instead, because it's so easy. If you view something and you go, oh, I don't know what I'm viewing, but it's really going to be dramatic.
Yeah.
I wonder when this is going to happen, and then use a timeline. All that emotion, I think, does influence the timeline.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I think it's better to take all that viewing out of it and just have these viewers and say, hey, we just want you to view these certain locations over, over a period of time into the future. So you'll know, because if we keep.
And what you'll find out is the future as it stands now, but even still it may change. Okay. Back to the paradoxical tasking in Joe's Bar and Grill. If you predicted that he would be there at 9 o'clock and they came and arrested him, so that he was in jail at 9 o'clock and you were wrong, what if you had predicted he's going to be in jail at 9 o'clock? They would not have come out. And at 9 o'clock, he would be sitting in Joe's Bar and Grill having a nice dinner. So it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't, And when you predict future problems, you always have to understand that the future is not set in stone, and you can change it. Where am I going to be tomorrow at 5 o'clock? Oh, I'll be in the morgue on a slab, dead, because I will have been in a car wreck tonight. Guess what? I'm staying home tonight. Right? And you can change the future.
Yeah. So yes, it's a bit of a sticky wicket. We get into a bit of sticky wicket, but let's see here. So Bernhard, I hope that's helpful to you. We kind of gave you several answers, but okay. Marie says, hi from DC, happy birthday. Yes, Tamitha, they are safe. They're able to communicate with us via WhatsApp. And so, yes, they are safe. The fire's out as far as I know, but it did some damage to one of the main electrical things. Hey, Cody, good to see you. Arnaldo, good to see you from Chile. I'm hoping to come down in the beginning of 2024, Arnaldo, too. I'm going to probably be in Patagonia, so we have to stay in touch. Stephanie, okay, great. Stephanie, yeah, you know what you can do is just communicate with me, Lori@intuitivespecialist.com, and I can get in touch with you and I can answer those questions for you. Tina asked, can anyone remote view? I've never done it, but I'm very interested in learning. My answer is always yes. I believe anyone can do it. I haven't ever had a student who couldn't at this point. How about you, Lynn?
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of people who won't for personal reasons or whatever, and those who won't and they try it and they have success, it usually scares them so bad they never come back, because it changes their life paradigm if they accept it. Martin also asked, one of my confusions, like trying to identify the cashier, do you follow the PRV structure with an ideogram? Sure. Yeah. Make it a practice session. Do the ideogram. Now, the ideogram, doesn't give the description of the person. It's when you get into stage 2 and 3 and all that you get the description of the person. So, you do an ideogram, you're going to get human or biological, and you walk up to the cashier and sure enough, it's a human. Hey, I was right.
Okay, so Benjamin said in prior Q&As, Lynn mentioned that US ICCRV teams have intercepted adversaries' remote viewers while they were in a session. Can you elucidate on any indicators or sensations one might experience that serves as an indicator that others or adversaries are viewing in on your CRV session?
Yeah, one, you will sense them. If they're not using CRV, you'll sense them. If they are using CRV, too bad, you'll never know. One of the features of CRV is that if you do it properly, you can't get caught. And the thing jumped and I just lost it. But
sorry.
yeah, for example, I was over in Germany teaching a class, and that evening I was sitting in the hotel room watching TV, and all of a sudden the room just filled with the smell of cigar smoke. I mean, just overpowering, a bad breath cigar smoke.
Mm.
So the next day, I knew that there was this German remote viewing teacher in town who they said was very upset about me coming and, being a competitor or something, which I'm not. And so I said to one of my students who knew him, I said, "Does he smoke?" And she said, "Yes, smokes his gosh awful cigars. You can hardly stand it, And I said, "Okay, next time you see him, tell him it's all right. I don't mind if he spies on me, but please brush his teeth." I don't think he's ever spied on me again. Anyway.
Okay, let me see. I've been answering a few just to have them sorted out here. Tricia says I've been doing that a lot. I'm not sure which one we were talking about there. And then Martin says that sounds more like ARV. Good job, Lori. No, well, the one I was talking about where we're moving through into the future, that's definitely not ARV.
No.
But yeah, but it definitely was helpful. And then Kristen says, hello from Tampa. I just started the free 4-part series, so apologies for my super novice question. Before the phases, how do you know when to stop? Do you just end the session with phase 2? Do you use intuition for phase 3? I'm so happy I stumbled across your program, Lori, and looking forward to continue practicing. Yeah, the free class only takes you through phase 1. But I mean, it goes slightly into phase 2, but not much. But yeah, what phase 3 is sketching. And so, yeah, if you jump in, if you're able to jump in, we actually have 3 more days on the big sale for the basic video course. We have a big sale going on where it's $300 off right now. There's a whole bunch of bonuses. So if you're not familiar with that, I'm trying to think if there's a way I can put it in the chat. I can type the link in there for you because it's different from having the chat box, but anyway, I'll figure out a way to put it into this Q&A. But if the best way to do it, I mean, I can't teach the class in our 1-hour Q&A, but Christian, if you're interested, you can learn phases 2 and phase 3 in either Lynn's video course or my video course. They are both very similar. So.
And a lot of people just sort of blow off phase 1 because, oh, that's just, basic stuff. I want to get into good stuff. Listen, master phase 1. You get into phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even up into 7 and 8. During the middle of that, you notice there's something and you say, okay, there's something round here. Oh, really? Tap it. Do an ideogram. Oh, that round thing is biological. Oh, I didn't know that. And you're doing stage 1 in one of the later stages. You learn stage 1 not only to get you into the session, but because it's a tool that you can use later on to find details. So yeah, phase 1 is very important. And you get a chance. Oh, listen, Lori's courses are good. Learn it. Okay.
It's the free class really is a great starter, a great place to start. And so the thing too is that I've learned to use ideograms. I remember when I first started taking from you, Lynn, you talked about how you could teach for 2 weeks on nothing but ideograms in phase 1. And at the time I was kind of like, how does that work? But I use ideograms for all kinds of quick answers for things. You can use them to get really quick information when you need it on the run.
Yeah.
So
So much of the remote viewing, we don't get a chance to teach in both ARV and CRV. Like nobody out there is teaching passive ARV. They all teach active ARV for bedding and things like that. There's also passive ARV, which is a different thing completely, and is used in those situations where you protect a viewer from being exposed to dangerous things. It's a very useful tool, but we never get a chance to teach these complex things except when you get up into the higher stages and all that. And then, oh, listen, we enjoy teaching them. So yeah, if you take the free course, that's a good start, but keep going. Okay.
yeah, and also see if you guys can look right now in the chat, in the Q&A under the answered, you'll see the link to the promo that's ending. I think it's ending in 2 days. It's ending on the 3rd. Today's the 1st. So it's ending on the 3rd. So, oh, Martin says he's not seeing replies. Martin, go look at your Q&A box and go to where it says answered. There's things at the top. It says open, answered, and dismissed. So go to the answered thing and you'll see it there. And that's where everybody can see them. Okay, so some people are saying, yeah, they see it. Okay, now they're saying, yeah, I see it now. Okay, and then, yeah, so if you guys go up and go to the answered ones, that's when you'll see the responses. And then Nikki says, yes, I see it in the Q&A. And then Karen says, I see your answer to Cynthia. And then Sonali asks, since you're connected to a large network of remote viewers, I wanted to say that there are Indian and Russian energy workers and remote viewers tuned into US and organizations 24/7. A handful of them are decent human beings. Let's see, practitioners.
Most of them are, yeah.
Yeah, and then connect with your network to help override the ill effects of the creepy stuff. Churches should be able to help too, I guess. Once you get into it, you'll figure out the scope and intensity of their project. It's overwhelming, but I needed to share this because Americans need to know, and we need the American population to respond to the situation.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so did you want to say anything about that, Lynn?
No, I'm agreeing here, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And well, thanks for sharing that, Sonali. There's so much going on, especially with the recent congressional things on UFOs. What did you think about that, Lynn? I would love to hear.
This thing keeps jumping all over the place.
Um,
The congressional things with the UFO,
hmm?
finally, it's about time.
Yeah.
You know, there's stuff that, Aztec, New Mexico, you know, we've been making stuff about the UFOs stuff. There was a crash in Aztec, New Mexico. And yeah, but the classified secret stuff that's beyond classified, not even the government, you know, never tell the president a secret because they blab too much. And you know, finally, it's time for it to come out. Everybody's been afraid to bring it out, afraid to even mention it because they won't get reelected again or whatever. And I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, so this is great. Thank you guys all so much for that. Yeah, it's I'm glad to see it too. Hey, Dave Sell, good to see you. Dave Sell saying hi, Lynn.
Oh, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see Dave. Hi, Rhiannon in Australia. The folks who are joining us from Australia, it's 4 a.m. there, so they're hardcore. Hi, Mark from London. Great to see you. Hi, Susan from Santa Fe. We're neighbors. You're just 2 hours north of me. Marie, congratulations on restarting the course. Life happens. I can see when, you know, a lot of times we get interrupted and things. Glad you're getting back into it. Welcome, welcome. Happy birthday from Oregon, from Jacqueline, Lynn. And hi from Denver. I haven't had the chance to take the course, but I'm thinking of doing it, chickening out a little. Would you be doing a bundle courses offered at a discount price so we can just take all the level courses for a discounted price? Actually, Aiden, that is something that I am actually going to do as soon as we get the advanced published. Right now it's in the midst of getting edited by a professional editor. Thank you, Jesus. And because I'm not doing it. But as soon as it's out, one of the things that I was hoping to do would be to offer a bundle with all three, basic, intermediate, and advanced. And so Lyn is also working on his advanced. So soon he'll have 3 of those courses out. And our 2 schools will be the only 2 schools on the planet that I know of that are truly offering a thorough study of basic, intermediate, and advanced, so that somebody can really walk in, start taking the course from 0 and make it all the way through advanced and become an advanced remote viewer.
And you want to master each one before you go into the next, of course, practice. But for the longest time, I've been the only one who offers basic, intermediate, advanced project management, overall management, dealing with customers, directorship, databasing, report writing, monitors course, and then specialty courses like how to deal with the police, how to deal with doctors, how to deal with so on. Once we get the ranch built and usable, there was a man named Savely Sava out in California who years ago was connecting medical intuitives to doctors, having them work in their office, working with the doctors and all that, collecting data. And his goal was to get the law passed that any doctor who wants to use a medical intuitive who is proven and databased and has a track record can do so. And once we get the ranch built and functioning, the remote view ranch, I'm hoping to get Savely's project started up again and start getting CRVers especially, but maybe even other medical intuitives working with doctors on a strict scientific databasing thing so that we can prove to the government and to the lawyers and everybody else that, yeah, you can do a great job for a doctor. And Savely paired me up with Dr. Mann in Cornell University, who is in Cornell Medical Center in New York, who was doing hypertension cases. We did many, many things, and we showed repeatedly that a remote viewer, a CRVer using the English one method can take a person whose systolic blood pressure is 260, they're about to have a stroke any moment, and you can lower their blood pressure to safe levels. So it works. And that's another project that I hope to get going so that we can start using people operationally with doctors, with police, with scientists. We're doing a lot of space research work. We want to get viewers working with that. So I don't know how I got off on that track, but yeah, when it comes to operations, there are a lot of things that you can do. And like Lori says, right now we're the only ones teaching start to actually professional working level, working with projects in the real world for corporations, police, and all that.
Yeah, and that was always my vision, was to create, after working with you so intensely all those years, Lyn, to have where people could take a variety of, like, they could, if they can't travel, they could take a video course. They could online workshops, or they could even books. I realize books sometimes can be hard to learn from, but anyway, I just, that's a great way. We just want to be sure, between Lyn and my schools, we just want to reach as many people as we can. And right now in process, we have a project management course that's being edited. We have the ARV course that's being edited, and Lyn already has an ARV course out. And then we have the advanced course that's getting edited. So once those are
And,
done,
you know, in
go
the
ahead.
military, it was my job to take an incoming troop and teach them from day one all the way to where they were doing the government work operationally. And so when I came out of the military, from day one in my course, I start teaching you with the eye toward having you someday bring home a missing child, having you someday, you know, being able, like Joe McMonagle does. They send him a map, dig here. And I keep asking Joe, do they give you feedback on whether they catch oil or not? And he says, well, sort of feedback. A month later, they send me a new map with a $10,000 check. That's feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely.
so from day one, Lori and I both teach toward professionalism, not toward prove to yourself you can do it, you know.
That's really, really great. Let me, folks, if you go into the answered, again, look at the top of the little screen of the Q&A box. It says
Yeah.
open, answered, and dismissed. Go to the answered and you'll see some links in there. A lot of people are asking for links to the free class. I put the link to the free
Oh,
class in
okay.
there,
Yeah.
if you can see that. And then there's a lot of really, really great questions here. Oh, and Kristen, this recording, you will find it. Number one, it will be on the Facebook group, Remote Viewing with Lori Williams, which Lyn is also part of. So you can find it there. We also upload it into our YouTube channel, which is Intuitive Specialists. So if you go to YouTube and you type in Intuitive Specialists, you'll find our channel. All the Lyn and Lori webinars are there as well. Janice Vick, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome from the heart of Texas. People are asking, several people are asking about careers with this. And one of the things I just want to say, as far as a career goes with, as a remote viewer, Lyn and I were just having a conversation when we were at his house, and he was talking to someone who said, I'm going to start taking remote viewing. And Lyn was talking about the length of time it takes to really get, to become an expert, a master. And I think that it's a long road, because it's like getting a 10th degree black belt in martial arts. So it depends on whether you're talking about, hey, I want to know just enough martial arts to be able to defend myself if I were to be attacked in a dark alley, or I want to be able to teach others martial arts and I want to be a ninja. If you want to be a ninja and teach others, then we're talking a lot of years, really. We got to be honest with you. It's a long trek, and a lot of practice that needs to happen. Just a lot.
And I try to be honest with people who are taking my ARV course. ARV is easy to learn, it's easy to do, and it's easy to have success. But I guarantee you, if what you're wanting to do is get rich using ARV, like almost everybody out there is teaching, it's going to take you more years to do that than it will be to learn all of CRV and master it. You can get filthy rich using ARV, but don't plan on doing it this weekend. Okay. What I tell people is, practice the CRV to get the first number on the lottery ball, if that's what you're wanting to do. When you can do that 80 to 90% of the time, then a year has gone by. Now practice getting the number on the first 2 pick 3 lottery balls, okay, and then 3 numbers on the pick 3 lottery ball. Then you've got the pick 6, okay. That's going to take you another 2 or 3 years, and each one of those has taken you a year. So 6 to 8 years from now, you're rich, okay. You do the pick 6, you win $1 million, many millions of dollars. Okay, you're rich. You don't do all that practice, 6 years from now, you're still struggling to pay bills. So is it worth the practice? Yes. But plan on 6 to 8 years to get rich. You're not going to pay your bills doing ARV by taking a 1-week course. It's not going to happen, period.
Oh, this is great. So let me just real quickly, we still have a few more minutes here. Benjamin asks, can you target digital or virtual targets the same way you target non-human objects or humans?
Yes. Hawaii Remote Viewers Group.
HVGA.
What's his name? Wheaton.
Glenn Wheaton.
Yeah. He did a whole series of things where they would just make up targets, not real at all, and they kept data and all that, and they showed that yes, you can, and you can, by that same token. We should have already known that, because in the military, we would get plans and intentions of foreign leaders for the next day and the next month and all that. Well, they would change those plans, but we were getting thoughts out of their head, not real hard targets, not real hard targets, but sorry, dog. But just esoteric targets. And yeah, you can view them, with accuracy.
All right, that's really great. I'm just typing some answers here so people can see. They're saying they can see the answers. They can, people are in different types of computers, but they are able to see the answers, and they just kind of populate underneath the questions.
Yeah. Catherine had one, given they won't advertise remote viewing government positions. Oh, quit skipping. What would be the best way to get a position with the government agency doing that? First of all, at the present time, especially, if you apply to any government agency to be a remote viewer, they'll tell you, we don't do that. And they usually won't deal with you anymore. If you show in the civilian sector that you are good at it and have a good track record, provable track record, it's one of those, don't call us, we'll call you. Okay. And so it's, the thing they said was, we don't want anybody who wants to be with us.
That's great. So Jacqueline asked, can your fears interfere with the future date? And she asked me to answer it, but Jacqueline, I think fear really, especially if you know what you're viewing, if you're completely front loaded and you know what the target is, and your fears can definitely influence the outcome. And sometimes we find viewers viewing their fears instead of viewing the target. So that's why that's one of the reasons why it's so much better to be completely blind when you're viewing. And if you had a question that you were fearful about, like, is the apocalypse going to happen tomorrow? You would want to set viewers up and have them be completely blind to what they were viewing. Because if you tried to view it, of course, and you're afraid that the apocalypse is going to happen tomorrow, it would definitely influence the outcome. So, and sometimes project managers can influence projects. I'm always very careful who I accept projects from, because I've seen too many project managers really influencing the outcome because of the way they interpret the viewer's information. So viewers who are blind to the target will supply information, and depending on the project manager, they can read in their own opinions and interpret the information that through the lens of their own belief system. And that you see that a lot on some of the more flashy people that are out there really flashing around. Well, I had people view this target and I had people view that target. We all know a few of those folks, and so And so when that, when that happens, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because you're like, well, how much did that person influence what they're actually putting out to the public, based on their own belief system. And I find that a lot. And one of the reasons I found that too is if you talk to certain viewers who've worked with some of these more flashy public people, they'll go, I was a viewer on that, and that I don't feel like that's what I said at all, and that's when you've got a problem. So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
And Richard says, hey, Lynn, can we RV the IRVA outbounder target now?
Sure. Yeah, do. Do.
Yeah, get a head start, Rich.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's already been selected. Yeah.
Probably. Simon asks, can you ever see back in time, like decades and things that happen? Yes, Simon, that's my favorite thing about CRV, is you can totally time travel to the past and be an observer to things like, the dawn of time. I remember Lynn was talking to me about setting up, do you remember this, Lynn?
Assigned witness program.
No, when you were asking me about using an Excel spreadsheet we wanted to unify the summaries were done. And Lynn said, well, we're going to use Excel. And I remember going, Excel, I've never used an Excel spreadsheet. Ask me to view the dawn of time. Don't ask me to do an Excel spreadsheet. But yeah, you can, the great thing too is that sometimes when we have a viewer who views something really clearly in the dawn, I'll give you an example. I had a lady who remote viewed, Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall is in her 80s now, but this photo of Jane, she was like 30 years old. She was handing food to a monkey. There were, to a chimpanzee, and there was this stuff behind her and this tablecloth. And the lady drew the design on the tablecloth exactly. And then she freaked out and said, oh my gosh, that means I was actually looking at the tablecloth. I was actually there in that tent. And I said, well, not only were you there, but you were there 50 years ago, because Jane Goodall is now in her 80s, right? And so it's time travel, and we can get enough feedback that we have absolute certainty through photographs and things that the viewer has actually traveled in time and is actually seeing accurately a totally different time period, because time is not what you think it is.
And here's another thing about the practice. All beginning viewers have to learn to get their sea legs in time, because you will view a past target, and you will wander back and forth in time on that target. And if there's some big event that happened at the time, you will be drawn off target to the big event, before it, after it, and all this other stuff. One of the hardest targets for a beginning viewer to view is Pearl Harbor the day before the attack, or 9/11 the day before the attack. Very hard to view, simply because your mind gets drawn off in time. You have to learn your sea legs in time.
Yeah, because those are called temporal attractors through time that are so, like the bombing of Pearl Harbor, so flashy, so emotional. Of course, you were right to it, right? So keeping that in mind. A lot of
that's temporal attractors.
Yes, temporal attractors, because temporal meaning time, attractor, so temporal attractors. Okay, Trisha asks, I'm trying to understand, why can't the subconscious mind identify instead of describe? Or does it describe once you get more experience and control? Trisha, the subconscious is hooked right into everything that ever was or ever will be, right? But it comes through the right brain, and the right part of your brain doesn't come up with nouns. The right part of your brain is the part of your brain that describes things. The left part of your brain, which is not psychic at all, is the thing that names things. So it's actually brain science is the reason that we say describe, don't identify, because the identifications we come up with, those labels we slap on things, 99 times out of 100, they're going to be incorrect. And even if they are correct, that you're losing a ton of descriptive information, because I could say, hey, this is a cup and this is a cup, or this is a bottle and this is a bottle. I could use nouns on these, but then I'm losing a ton of descriptive information by naming them the same thing.
And your subconscious mind, I mean, think about it. Where does it get its information? From your feelings of temperature, touch, taste, smell, sounds, the light from your eyes and all that. Your subconscious mind, that's where it gets all of its information about the world
Because the
around
body,
you.
right, the
So
body
you
is,
send your mind halfway around the world, that's the kind of information that's going to get there. Yeah,
so that's why we say describe, don't identify.
that's
And a
right.
lot of people that, you know, a lot of times when I'll have a brand new psychic who's made her living from a psychic or made a living as a psychic will come in and go, but why can't I use nouns? Because a lot of times in psychic schools, it's the naming of it that you get the reward for. I said it was this and it is that. But usually, as I learned from Lynn and from working with police and things, oftentimes the nouns of the thing are an already known thing. They don't need to
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
They need a descriptor, because if you think about the average town, for example, every town has a library and a bank and a gas station and a grocery store. So if you go, oh, there's a library there, there's a bank there, there's a that's not helpful. It's the descriptors that are going to distinguish one from another.
Yeah.
So that's your
An
answer.
example of that is we had a very famous, very successful psychic come in one time. He wanted to be a part of the unit, and of course had no clearances, whatever, or anything, but he had learned about us. And so we said, okay, we'll give you a target. Let's see how you do. He did the target, and he found that it was a large building, that the targeted room in that building, because we targeted a special room, was all white, extremely clean, septically clean, and that the workers in that room were wearing, you know, white smocks and all this with gloves and pads on their feet. And so he said it's, you know, he described all of that. And then he said, and in this hospital, I can tell you, I'm hearing people screaming. There's, because of the protection for those doctors, that is a hospital that's full of very contagious diseases and all that, you know. And he went on, and the target was the clean room where they make chips at Microsoft. He gave a perfect descriptor of the room and the people working in it. And the minute he said, and in this hospital, man, off and gone. From that point on, that one noun screwed up everything he did.
Yeah. Jeff Baldridge asked, what changes in your lives did you notice as a result of the development of your CRV skills? Jeff, the huge thing I've noticed is relief from fear. I think when I first met Lynn, I was just such a fearful person, coming from a, you know, well, from a very complicated background full of trauma, but also being in a, you know, in a religious thing. Lots of fears, you know, am I displeasing God? Is, you know, am I getting in league with the devil? Look at those eyebrows on Lynn. Could be the devil. Anyway. Anyway, you know, just lots of fears there. And so huge relief from fear and a great amplification of my belief system in a very good way, you know, a very good way. So that was mine. Lynn, how about you? What changes in your life did you most notice when you started developing your CRV skills?
Huge changes. Awareness was one of the big ones. You become aware of the world around you. You become aware of the people around you. You start seeing things the way they are, not the way you picture them to be. And you get in touch with reality. Not only with reality, but you get refreshed with your environment. I mean, how many people have pictures on their walls in their house and never see them anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're there, you just never even see them anymore. And you put them there because they're pretty. And now then you're aware of your surroundings, and you walk into that room and there are these pretty things. You still enjoy them. And it's the same with the people you deal with. Okay. One of the big complaints about marriage is you get accustomed to it, you know, and the freshness goes. No, it doesn't have to go away. It can be fresh and remain fresh, period, from then on. The problem is not with the marriage, it's with you. And the problem with your job. All of a sudden you lose, but you got into that job because it's what you wanted to do. And yeah, it changes. It gives you an awareness of reality on a continuing basis. And the world is always fresh. It's great. And of course, there are sessions that I did that changed my morality. That changed, well, you have life experiences that you would never have just depending on your physical reality. You mentally go places. Listen, with the perfect site integration that happens very rarely in remote viewing, I feel like I'm lying if I say I've never been on Mars, because my mind has stood on the surface of Mars and felt the ice cold, felt the difficulty of breathing, felt the sand under my feet and all that. In that situation, you cannot tell that you're not at the target. And so while logically I know I've never been to Mars, everything in me says, hey, been there, done that, didn't get the t-shirt.
Yeah, it was interesting because Lynn, you gave me Red Square and Lenin's tomb in Moscow once. And then when I actually went there, it was like, oh yeah, I've been here before. It was so familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, there are many targets where, the Space Needle in Seattle. I had gotten that as a practice target several times, and I got bumpy smooth. And you see all the pictures and all that. So I went to Seattle one time, and I went up to the Space Needle and ran my hand on it. And the surface it's got all these rounded little smooth bumps as a texture on the thing. And the minute I felt them, I had felt these before. There was no surprise. There was no, oh, I was right. I knew I was right. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just writing, Lynn, your best email for students who want to write to you is Lynn Buchanan at beyondbb, right? .com.
Lynn Buchanan at beyondbb.com. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm writing it down for those of you who can see the responses. Deborah, this response is for you. I just answered your question. And then let's see what role this is actually something I wanted to ask you about too, Lynn, if you don't mind taking a few more minutes. Are you okay going on?
Go ahead, yeah.
What role does intention play in seeing or creating a future reality? And the reason I'm asking about intention is I get a lot of questions from students who say when the remote viewing unit was in place and they'd stick a picture in an envelope or they'd send somebody out to a remote location as an outbounder. How does the subconscious mind know, especially if you're just assigning a random number as a coordinate, how does it know that's where you're supposed to go, as opposed to some other location? And I never have really, I don't know if they ever really explained that. Do you know, or is it just the intention of the person who's assigning it? Like, okay, I want them to do what's in this.
I have heard all kinds of theories, scientific theories and all that. Not a single one of them can be proven. And yet people get a theory and I like to say they cling to it like they're lost at sea and it's the only thing that floats. They will not let go of it, even if you try to save them from it. And I think the best answer I've ever heard was by Bill Ray. And he said, it's just a bunch of effing magic.
Just a bunch of effing what?
Magic.
Magic.
It's real magic. It actually happens. It's not a trick, And first example you'll ever see of real magic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but nobody knows. Okay.
Candace, I just wanted to say I accidentally accidentally hit the wrong button. And but I just want to say that as far as communicating with your nonverbal autistic grandson, and for others, your dog, your cat, or whatever, you can definitely use remote viewing to communicate with them, especially once you've taken the intermediate class, which teaches a tool for linking with the subconscious of another sentient being or sentient being. So that's definitely a doable thing.
I would also advise taking the medical apps class. Part of the medical apps class is not about remote viewing at all. It's about protecting yourself from the target. And if there is a physical or mental or emotional problem that the target person has, we have found that once you start trying to identify with them, you can't just go into their living room. I mean, you go into their entire house, and that you pick up a lot of stuff. People want to become one with the target. Don't ever do that. That person has their own religion, their own morals, and all that. You don't want to bring that back with you. Some of it will rub off if you don't know how to protect yourself. And when it does, if it does rub off on you, whatever has rubbed off doesn't just affect you. You take it back to your family and your friends and your workplace. No, we say describe, don't identify. When it comes to people, you describe them, you never identify with them.
Mhm.
So, if you want to access a person who has a physical or mental, emotional handicap, I advise take the medical apps course first and learn how to protect yourself. You'll find it's well worth it.
And Martin, you can take med apps after intermediate, but I usually find that even if you take it after intermediate, you want to take it again after advanced, because you'll have such a greater depth of understanding.
Oh yeah.
The first time I took it, I remember going, oh my God, this is the most amazing class ever. Oh my gosh, coming home and talking to Jim all about it and telling him how excited I was. And then I took it again 2 years later. And I said, Lynn, this feels like a totally different class. I mean, it's as amazing as the last time I took it, but so much deeper. And so it just feels like it has so much more in it. And Lynn's like, that's just because you're in a different place than you were 2 years ago. So it really, and now since then I've taught med apps many, many, many times. And my students also, I mean, I have students who've taken it 4 or 5 times because each time they get so much more out of it. So
that's right.
Just so you know, that's the answer to that. And then and yes, Donna, now Lynn, are you currently teaching med apps? Donna's asking.
I'm not right now. I'm still working on the videos for the advanced course. I am doing some contract work. It's all non-disclosure. Mainly, I'm spending my day swamped with email, trying to get this remote view ranch going, and so that's a major project. And so I hate to admit that I'm not getting much of a chance to do any remote viewing myself anymore. I miss it very badly. And when I do these days, it's usually an operational session. And I finish a remote viewing session and it feels like I just had a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. I just wanted to let everybody know, and I can share the screen really quickly. If you're interested, if you've taken excuse me, hold on, I'm trying to see what I'm doing here. If you have already taken intermediate and you want to take a med apps, I'll be teaching med apps live on a 3-day workshop, October 18th through October 20th. I didn't even know I have to look it up myself because I don't know the dates by heart. Coming up August 17th is a 3-day live basic workshop, and we will be offering opening enrollment, which we only do 2 or 3 times a year for the 3-year certification program that we have. That will be August 17th through 19th for people who attend the 3-day basic course. Then September 12th through 14th is the intermediate training. That's a live 3-day. Then October 18th through 20th is live medical applications or the medical healing course. And then November 8th through 10th is the advanced course, live 3 days. And then December 6th through December 8th, we'll be having another basic course. So those are just for people who, who are curious about live online courses, who feel like they need that. That's where those are. So just to let you know. And then Sheila's asking, how different or similar are you teaching? Well, Sheila, I learned from Lyn. And of course, I have my own personality. And one thing Lyn's wife, Linda, always used to say to me, she was like, Lori, just eventually, these are going to be your classes taught in your style because, that's how you are. Yeah. So, of course, I tend to be kind of bubbly and make a lot of jokes and but I've also been called the structure Nazi because my teacher was very very
same here. Yeah. Listen, structure, that's the thing. We teach in different styles of teaching, but the structure that we teach exactly the same as Ingo Swann's structure.
And we want it that way so that, if you could take a basic from me and intermediate from Lyn or vice versa, we wanted it to be interchangeable, so that people, if they wanted to, they could take from either one of us or both of us and not be lost, like
she's a bubbly teacher and all that. They start a class with me and they make it through the morning, they go to lunch, they come back and they get sleepy. And I tell them, hey, you get sleepy, go into sleep while I talk. That way I'll have direct access to your subconscious. And they wake up.
Oh no, what's he going to do to me while I'm sleeping? So Stephanie, you would need to attend the basic course that's coming up August 17th through 19th, but also just hang in there because we're thinking about doing this. If you're already on my mailing list, just, which you can go just by going to the website if you're not on the mailing list, but I think you're already on the mailing list. We are thinking of offering that once a year as an opportunity for people. So stay on the mailing list. And then I just want to see here. Yes. So Marie, she got that answer about the medical class. And I answered Donna. And so I'm trying to see, I think we've kind of gone over, we're already 20 minutes over. So we should probably end it here. I hate to though, because there's so many great questions. These are such good questions, but there's still 51 questions. So I guess we have to end it here, folks. I'm so sorry, but we did answer 117 questions.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So actually 118, because I forgot about Susan's about intention. But anyway, guys, so we love you all very much. Glad you're here. So happy to do these every month. Lyn, thank you for your time. Thank you for to be here and to be answering questions and mingling with these wonderful students and curious people. Excuse me. So we will be back. We have Lord willing and the creek don't rise, and we're still alive in September. We're coming back. Let me look at our dates in September, just so you guys know. Look at the month here in September. We will be doing another Lyn and Lori it's usually on a Tuesday. Let me just look here. Do you see it on yours, Lyn? I'm looking for the
first Tuesday, I think. Yeah.
Is it the first Tuesday? First Tuesday is the 5th. Yep, it's September 5th. Yeah. The first Tuesday. It's so September 5th, we'll be back for another Lyn and Lori. So if you didn't get your question answered, save it for us. Or you can always also, write it to us. Lyn, I don't know, how much time you have or how much time I have, no. but go ahead. You can always write it to us. Lyn's address is Lyn Buchanan. No. One word.
Vicky says, why are my questions not being addressed? I'm on a Mac. That has nothing to do with it. It's just.
Vicky, I've been going down the line.
We don't have time. Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have time. We've been trying to answer as many people as we can. I don't see Vicky's questions on here though. And I did answer some by typing the answers. So if you don't see your answer, I probably typed it for you, and you can look. You can just look up at the top. Click on one of the tabs at the top of the box.
Yeah.
So Vicki, I have.
Yeah, this was Vicky's was. Mine scrolls at times when I'm trying to read, and when I'm not trying to read, it stays still. So
So what was Vicky's? I don't see Vicky's anywhere. I don't see.
it's way on back there. Yeah.
A question from Vicki.
Yeah.
Vicki, what was your question? Ask it again so that we can see it. Because I don't see it on here anywhere. Oh, let's see if I can. And one of the things is I can't see the bottom things. It's not letting me. Maybe I'm making it too. I made it too tall. That's why. There we go. So Vicki says, oh, Vicki, I did answer you about the pendulum. I just typed in the answer. So if you can't see the typed answer, I'll just tell you now, anything can be a pendulum. It can be anything that hangs from a string or a chain. It can be a necklace. It can be a pendant. It can be a cup hook on a string. Anything can be a pendulum. So I did answer your question, just so you know. I just didn't answer it publicly, but I typed a lot of answers.
Okay.
Just so you know. And thanks, Janice. It was great to see you. And I'm sorry that you didn't see the answers written, but anyway. And then Marie says thanks. There's a lot of people saying thanks. So I'm going to close those out. And folks, and thanks, Bernhard. Folks, if you guys, if you want, and you have answers that you really feel like, hey, I need an answer to this, write me at lori@intuitivespecialist.com or support@intuitivespecialist.com, and we'll definitely get to your answers as quick as you can. If it's a tech question, don't ask me. Go to support@intuitivespecialist.com. Remembering that right now we don't have a support department until they get their electricity back on.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad. Thanks. Go ahead.
Ray McClure, if you're still on, you've got my WhatsApp number. Give me a call. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. Ray, we miss you. We miss talking to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. Thanks, Janice. I miss you. We should talk soon. And Grace, go to my website, intuitivespecialist.com, and you will see the free course. It'll pop right up there, and you can click on it. So that's how you do it.
As a last question, Grace Silva says, how do you do the free course? I'll answer it really well. Okay. We'll see you.
Please go to my website. You'll see the opportunity there to do it. And is there anything else? Okay. Karen says, you are great. Love these. Love you guys too. Thank you so much. We love you. And I sure hate to go away. It's hard. It takes a lot of willpower, but we'll see you September 5th. Okay.
Good deal.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.